Imagine living in a world where every conversation is a game, and you slowly realize you've been playing it your entire life. At the lowest level, you don't even know the game exists. You speak honestly, you react emotionally, you assume everyone else is doing the same. At the highest level, nothing is accidental. Every pause is deliberate. Every compliment has direction. Even silence becomes a tool. The difference between those two versions of you isn't intelligence. It's awareness. It's control. It's restraint. This is what your life feels like at every level of manipulation skill. From completely unaware to someone who can quietly steer an entire room without anyone realizing it. And the higher you go, the more powerful you become, but also the more alone. Manipulation isn't just deception. It's influence with intent. It's the ability to shape someone's perception, emotion, or decision without them clearly seeing how it happened. Everyone manipulates at some level. Children do it, partners do it, leaders do it. Entire industries are built on it. The difference between levels isn't morality. It's awareness, precision, emotional discipline. As you move up, you react less and observe more. You stop chasing reactions and start engineering them. You rely less on impulse and more on timing. You gain control, but you lose simplicity. And with each level, your internal world becomes more complex. Level 1, the unaware. At this level, you don't manipulate. You react. You say what you feel. You argue when you're angry. You defend yourself when criticized. You trust that your intention should be enough. When someone reframes a story to make you look wrong, you don't notice the framing. When someone guilt trips you, you genuinely feel guilty. When someone flatters you, you open up. You assume conversations are honest exchanges. Internally, life feels straightforward. Frustration is loud. Validation feels comforting. Rejection feels deeply personal. There's something clean about this level. But there's vulnerability too. You don't pull strings. You are the string. Level 2, the emotional manipulator. Then you learn something important. Emotions move people. So you begin using them, not strategically and instinctively. You withdraw to make someone miss you. You exaggerate disappointment to trigger reassurance. You stay silent just long enough to create tension. You wouldn't call it manipulation, you'd call it coping. But now there's intention behind your reactions. You test responses. You watch who chases. You notice who folds under pressure. Internally, you feel a little more powerful, but also more anxious. Because your influence depends on emotional instability. You need friction to feel control. Compared to level 1, you're no longer naive, but you're still reactive. Level 3, the social strategist. Here's where things become quieter. You stop relying on emotional swings. You start studying patterns. You notice who needs approval, who fears confrontation, who wants to feel superior. You adjust your tone, posture, and energy depending on who you're speaking to. With your boss, you're concise and respectful. With your friend, relaxed and affirming. With someone insecure, reassuring and validating. You understand something powerful. People don't see reality. They see narratives. And you learn to feed the narrative they already believe. Internally, conversations feel like chess. You anticipate objections before they're spoken. You predict reactions before they unfold. But you also filter constantly. Compared to level 2, you're no longer creating chaos. You're navigating it. And people begin trusting you more, not realizing you're 3 steps ahead. Level 4, the controlled influencer. At this level, you master timing. You know when to speak, and when silence is stronger. You don't confront directly, you reframe. You ask questions that guide conclusions. You let people believe the idea was theirs all along. Your influence becomes invisible. You don't overpower, you position. Internally, you feel composed, rarely surprised, rarely emotionally shaken. You read micro-expressions. You sense shifts in tone before words change. But something else happens here. You start revealing less of yourself. Because when every interaction has leverage, vulnerability feels risky. Compared to level 3, you're not adapting to conversations anymore. You're steering them, and most people will never notice. Level 5. The psychological architect. Now the stakes increase. You don't just influence decisions. You influence identity. You understand that if someone sees themselves as loyal, they'll defend you automatically. If they see themselves as independent, you frame suggestions as their choice. You shape environments subtly. You reward behavior with attention. You withdraw it strategically. You create social structures where outcomes feel natural. Internally, this feels powerful, but heavy. Because now your influence affects careers, reputations, relationships. You think in systems, not moments. Compared to level 4, you're no longer adjusting in real time. You're designing outcomes before interactions even begin. And that level of control requires constant awareness. You rarely switch off. Level 6, the master manipulator. At the highest level, influence feels effortless. You enter a room and instantly map the hierarchy. Who leads, who resents, who follows. You align subtly with power. You create alliances quietly. You use silence like a scalpel. You never reveal full intention. People describe you as calm, strategic, controlled. But internally, life feels different. You rarely relax, because when you understand leverage this deeply, you see it everywhere. Every compliment carries potential intent. Every alliance feels temporary. Trust becomes conditional. Compared to level 5, you've mastered emotional neutrality. But you've sacrificed ease. Power feels normal, but intimacy feels dangerous. As you climb levels, conversations stop being simple. People stop being just people. Every interaction gained layers. At level 1, you were exposed but genuine. At level 3, you were adaptive but cautious. At level 6, you were powerful but isolated. Because when you can predict behavior, it becomes harder to experience it naturally. You adjust your tone automatically. You calculate reactions instinctively. You win arguments without raising your voice. You get what you want without asking directly. But sometimes, late at night, you wonder what it would feel like to stop calculating, to say something without measuring impact, to trust without analyzing a risk. Power increases. So does distance. Manipulation skill isn't really about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself. At the lowest level, emotion controls you. In the middle, you control perception. At the top, you control the environment. But here's the question. If you're always shaping reality, when do you actually live in it? Influence itself isn't evil. It can protect you, advance you, strengthen you. But the highest level of power isn't mastering everyone in the room. It's choosing when not to. It's knowing you could steer the conversation and deciding to let it unfold naturally instead. Because the real mastery isn't manipulation, it's restraint. And that's a level very few ever reach.